Hey veterans, my name is Travis Studdard, Veterans Disability Attorney, and I'm back here today to talk to you about another change in VA's sleep apnea rules that you need to be aware of. You may have seen my other video talking about one of the bad changes that's come about recently in sleep apnea claims, but today I want to talk to you and give you some good news, a good change that VA is trying to implement at this point. And it's good news because it expands potentially the group of veterans who will be eligible for a 50% disability rating for their sleep apnea claim. And to get a 50% rating for sleep apnea, the ratings criteria say that the condition must require the use of a breathing assistance device such as a CPAP machine. And if you have sleep apnea, then you're aware that CPAP is one of the ways, but not the only way to treat your sleep apnea. You have CPAPs, you have BiPAP, you have APAP. Also becoming more popular are oral appliances, basically devices that you put in your mouth at night that reposition your jaw and tongue. You have nasal discs, which regulate the airflow as you breathe in and out through your nose. And you also have more radical treatments such as surgery to create a new airway or to remove tissue or to implant stimulation devices. So all of those are ways to do it, but the bad news has been in the past that many veterans were denied for a 50% rating if they were not using a CPAP device. And so that put them in the dilemma of choosing, do I go with the treatment that my doctor and I feel is most appropriate, or do I go with the CPAP, which is going to allow me to get that 50% rating, which many times they may need that money and have to make that difficult choice. So again, this has been the problem, and there's been some changes in the manual that VA uses in deciding claims, and I won't get into that here. I discuss it some in the video on bad changes to sleep apnea. And I'll do another one later on more specifically about that manual. But in that manual they say that a CPAP is listed as an example, which is true because again the ratings criteria use the words such as CPAP. It doesn't say you must use a CPAP. So again, they say that the CPAP is an example, and they list some of these other treatment options that I just discussed with you a moment ago, and say that those two should qualify for a 50% rating if those have been prescribed by your doctor. Which brings me to my last point, which is, again, there has been another change in VA sleep apnea law, or actually not the law, but the manual by which they decide claims. And so you need to check out that video, and even if you use one of these other treatment options, you need evidence that it is actually required to treat your condition. Otherwise, you may still get a denial at the 50% level. So again, keep that in mind, and also keep in mind that while this is the instructions that VA has given to their employees, they may not follow that in deciding your claim. So if you use one of these other devices or options and you don't get 50% because they say you don't use a CPAP, you need to file a NOD on that, and you can contact us if you need assistance with doing so. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. You can check out any of our others on our YouTube page, or read more on our website, especially that one about the bad changes to sleep apnea law. And thanks for watching, and take care.